Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Leon from No More Lines. In this video, I'm going to show you how to programmatically open up a number of different Excel file formats, including the .XLSX, which is the current default version of Excel files, the .XLS, which is the 97 through 2003, or the legacy format, and text files. This list is not exhaustive, and you can actually open up a number of other different file formats. As long as Excel can natively open up a file format, you'll be able to use this function, and that includes binary files and also macro-enabled files as well. The importance of this is that you'll be able to actually do a number of different automation based on opening up worksheets and comparing, copy and paste, and etc. This is a very powerful thing. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to open them up in read-only mode and read-write mode, and also I'll show you how to deal with workbooks that may have a password protection on it. So real quick, I want to show you that I have two separate subroutines here. Now, the subroutines I've created, they actually can pass parameters. The reason why I did this is because I find that as I became more efficient in Excel, that it's just better to write functions and subroutines that can be copied and used over and over again. That way, you don't have to have code that's inconsistent. Also, too, it makes it very, it actually takes a code and it consolidates it, makes it a lot more efficient, a lot easier to read, and as long as you're aware of what you're doing and what tools you have, you can keep using them. So basically, each one of these subroutines, it does the same thing. The only difference is that one opens up the Excel workbook as a read-only mode, which means that you won't be able to make changes to the file and save them. And the other one is a read-write mode, which means that you will be able to make changes to it. So I'll go ahead and step through the subroutine itself. So the first part is that there are two parameters. The first one is the file name itself, and that's going to be the first parameter I pass. The second one is going to be an optional password, and that basically means that it doesn't have to be there, but if it is, Excel will essentially take that parameter and I can use it in the subroutine. In my previous video, I mentioned that it's great to have a file check. Basically, dir is the file check. It basically checks to see if the file path itself is valid. In this case, I have it to where if dir of the file namer, which is the parameter I'm passing, the first one, if it's blank, then it's going to do a debug print and say that that file namer that I'm passing is not valid. And then from there, it's going to actually do an end if and exit the subroutine. Okay, and then from here, the second variable is going to be the password. It can be there if it's, or it cannot be there. If it's not there, it'll basically pass it as a blank. If it is there, it'll put that password in. Now, that only matters if the workbook has a password on it. If I pass the password variable with no password, it won't actually do anything. But if the workbook needs a password to open up, it will need that there. So if the password's blank and if it needs a password, it's actually going to throw an error message. So that's something that's really important. You may want to keep a list of the workbooks that are password protected. So here, I'm going to say that if the password, which is the second optional variable, if it's blank, then it's going to open up the workbook called file namer. It's going to open it up and read only. Now, the code for that is going to be called workbooks.open. The first parameter is going to be the file namer, which is the string itself. The second one is if you want to update any linked sheets in it. So if you're referencing formulas from a different workbook, when it opens it up, it's going to actually automatically open it up. And it's going to update it if I set this as a true or false. In this case, I've set it as blank, which means that it's going to ignore it basically. And then our third option here is if it's going to be read only or not. In this case, I want it to be true, so I set it as true. So again, what it does is that it says that if the password is blank, then it's going to open it up without a password. If it's not, it's going to actually open it up as read only, but it's going to actually put a password there. So that password parameter is going to actually put it there if there's a password required to open it up. Then at the end, it's going to take that active workbook, the one I opened up called file namer, and it's going to close it out. One really cool thing is that you can actually get Excel to save the changes to the file if I were to do any kind of lines of code after I've opened it up. Now, one caveat with that is that since I'm opening it up as read only, it will not actually save the changes. So even if I put true, I believe it's going to actually throw an error message. So in that case, I'll just make sure that in this case, I wouldn't put it as I wouldn't set the like save changes as true. You can either set it as false, or if you just take it out, it won't save it at all. And the second one is where it's going to open it up as read write. It's the same exact subroutine. The only difference is that it's going to open it up as read write, and our third parameter is false, which means that it's going to do it as a read write, which means that when I save the file, whatever changes I make, it's going to update it. And here I'm going to still set it as false. Now I can set it to true if I want to, or false. It doesn't really matter in this case. So here I have a number of parameters here. So first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually change this sheet name here to something that's wrong. And you see here that there are 4 files here that I've created. Those are the 4 files that I showed you at the top. But the one that I just changed was this one here. It's called Text Excel Spreadsheet. I actually changed it to Text Excel Spreadsheets. And then when I try to run this this call, which is going to be open workbooker read only, it's going to actually throw an error message, and that debug print's going to put that file path here, the message here, in the immediate window. So I'll show you real quick how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Again, there is no optional variable. Password is blank. The file namer is this text file name. It's going to do a dir. In this case, since that file's not there, it's going to actually throw this error message. So it says that test Excel worksheets.xlsx is not valid. And you see here that since I added the S to it, it's not a valid path anymore. So that's why having that dir is so important. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this, and I'm gonna change it back to how it should be. And I'm gonna clear this out so we can kind of see everything. So we're gonna go ahead and run it again. And you see that now whenever we do our dir, it basically does the else because the file path is there. So here the password is blank because I didn't pass it. It's going to open it up as read only, which is true. You see here that the test Excel spreadsheet at the top, you see that now it actually says that it's opened up as read only. So I'm gonna keep going, and you see that I just closed it out and it just saved the changes. So I'm now back to my original sheet. So I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm gonna open up the second one with the same file path, but this time I'm gonna do it as a read write this time. Same thing. So here, you see now that it opened it up. Now how I know it's not read only is that there's no read only in brackets. That's how I know that I can save it. So again, it's going to close it out. And then I'm going to show you that it does the same thing with the older Excel format. Because you see here that I have a test file XLS, same thing. It's going to work the same way. And how I know that is that it has it in compatibility mode. That means that it's an older file type. So same way it's going to close it out. And also too, it does the same thing for our text file. So it will open up the text file in the same way as well. So you see here that it actually has it as a text file as well. And usually how I know it's a text file is that the sheet name itself is going to be the same name as the file. That's usually how we know it's actually a text file. Same way it closes it out. Okay, so this here is going to be the interesting part. I actually set a workbook up as password protected. It's where whenever you open it up, it's going to ask you for a password. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple pros and cons to that. A great thing is that, unfortunately, the file can still be taken off. And what I mean is that if the file's on a shared drive, a person can still take the file and actually delete the file. The only way to really make sure that is to put a password or put a read-write on the actual file path. And so it would be something on like the actual network. It's not going to really work, unfortunately, on a regular computer, but if it's on a shared drive, it makes it to where the file cannot be like, you won't be able to actually get rid of the file or like basically delete the file. Now you are able to still copy it though, but this here makes sure that you don't have access to open the file up without the password. So it does help to it does have some level of security. Unfortunately, the bad thing about this though is that if you forget the password, you won't be able to open the file up. So maybe it may be a good opportunity or a good rule of thumb to make sure that you keep a backup copy of the file just in case, or do a very good job of making sure that that password is somewhere that can easily be remembered or found. Because again, unfortunately, if you forget the password, you won't be able to open the sheet up again. So I'm going to go ahead and do it real quick, and I'm going to show you that whenever I try to open it up without the password, it's going to throw an error message. So again, this subroutine, there is no password because, well, there is one on the workbook, but I didn't pass the password. So you see here that it's going to try to open it up, and here it's going to basically try, it's going to tell me that the password, what is the password? It's going to be password 1. So if I do that, it's going to actually open it up. And you see that it's read-only, and it's the password protected file. Now, it's not going to say password protected on the workbook. I just named it password protected though. I just did that so as illustration. So so basically it's going to work like that. And then here, it's going to work the same way, but actually in this case, I'm going to do something. I'm going to actually change the password to something else, and then it won't be the right password. So I'm going to actually go ahead and call it again. But this time, I'm going to put the wrong password there. And you see now, whenever I do that, it says that the password that you supplied is not correct. Verify that the cap locks key is off, and be sure to use the correct capitalization. So that means that the password is case sensitive. You have to type it in exactly how you do it, how it needs to be. And at the end of the video, I'm going to actually show you how to actually add a password to it. So we're going to do a debug on that. I'm going to just go ahead and just go ahead and go to the end of it and just move on. And in here, I'm going to show you that we're going to open it up again, but this time we're going to supply the correct password. And the the password is going to be password 1, which is our constant here at the very top. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up again. And this time it's going to open the same sheet up, but that password 1 is the password that it should be. And it actually passes the password so that it actually is right. So you see that it actually does work. And I'm going to run it the same way. This time I'm going to do a read write on it. And you see here that it works the same way. Go ahead and show you how to add a password to a workbook. So I'm going to create a new workbook real quick. I'm going to save it. I'm going to put it in my my test folder. I'm going to just do a regular workbook, and I'm going to call Password Protect 1. Okay, so I'm going to save it. Then from here, I'm going to actually go to Info, and you're going to see a section called Protect Workbook. And you're going to go to a section called Encrypt with Password. So here, if you read, it says encrypt the contents of this file. Caution, if you lose or forget the password, it cannot be recovered. It is advisable to keep a list of passwords and their corresponding document names in a safe place. Remember, the passwords are case sensitive. So I'm going to just call it password 123. And then once you click OK, it's going to have you confirm it. So password 123. And then you see here that it has a lock on it now. So when I save it and I go close out of it and I open it back up again, it's going to ask me for that password. And if it's not, and if I press OK, it won't open it up. And then I have to go back and I have to try to open it up again. So it won't open up again until you put the correct password. But as you can see, that whenever I do it, it actually opens it up correctly. So hopefully this was a informative video. Please be sure to like the video if you found it helpful. Leave a comment with some feedback. Any feedback that can help the content become more efficient and concise, I'd really appreciate it. Hopefully this provided some value. If you have any suggestions on topics or anything that you want me to go over, you can leave a comment. I'll be sure to look over it and start planning out some videos. Subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, and you have a blessed day. Thank you. As an aside, I'm going to take the files and the examples that I provided, and I'm going to put them in a zip file for you to download. You'll be able to play with these files and use them to your liking. Thanks for watching. You take care.